want to call your attention to an article from the New York Times from November, but it was from last week on November 25th, and it was titled "Shorter Days, Signs of Fatigue," and it really went to a deep dive on everything we've talked about Donald Trump, but it added some data points which I thought were very helpful. For example, one that jumped out, it notices total appearances decreased by 39%, comparing for this year versus his first year in the White House. Again, folks, 39% less public appearances now, official appearances. And I get a sense why that is, but what do you take from that?
Well, actually, the statistic that I found even more dramatic was that he now gets into the office. The average time for him to arrive at the Oval Office is 12:08. And the average time for him to leave is 5. So working noon to 5, but he still can't stay awake.
Right. He's working a rough noon to 5 schedule. But to that, and they said they keep his public appearances shorter between noon and 5. And you had flagged that before in our discussions where you talked about it's going to be less and less time. And older people with cognitive issues, sundowning, we're all familiar with that term. Can you explain what that means for people who might not know what it is?
Sure. People with dementia often get worse late in the day. They kind of like, I guess in some ways, like we can get tired late in the day. They deteriorate later in the day. And actually, it was my podcast partner, Dr. Harry Siegel, who pointed out that he thought that Trump was sundowning. And he noticed that they started changing his schedule. So more and more of his appearances were midday. So he's having 11 o'clock meetings instead of evening meetings and things like that. And so now it's been enshrined in his schedule. In other words, they don't want him doing anything after 5 o'clock.
They're aware of it. I mean, this is when they're doing the scheduling, they understand. We can't see into their mind. I know there's a degree of speculation, but they're doing this because they get it. They are handling him like they have no choice. He's the president.
Exactly.